dumb little typewriter, right? I'm gonna write my name all over this town with it in big letters.
Hey, stop it!
Боже, ну который же час?
Go back to sleep.
It's a really good thing that's not Tony's hell. Instead, it's a ceaseless, unending loop of his misery and self-destruction across eternity. See? Much better. So guys, before I get to anything else, I just want to say a big thank you for all your support for my original Sopranos theory video. I really am blown away by how much love and attention it's gotten. And I'm even shocked it was a blip in an Emp Lemon video. That's pretty crazy to me, but it wouldn't be possible without your support. So again, thank you. Now, time for another Sopranos theory installment under my subspecies. I wanted to make a follow-up video that adds a couple details to my original theory, and a lot of this stuff comes straight from your comments. I mean, some of this stuff is just too good to not give a spotlight to, which is why I'm stealing them. Sorry, not sorry. In all seriousness though, if you're just clicking in for the first time, you're probably wondering what the heck I'm talking about. What is the theory? In short, I think The Sopranos as a show is a loop like hell of its main character, Tony Soprano. That his pure selfishness in life has afforded him an afterlife of living out his stressful downfall forever, even forced to watch the lives of others he hurt or ignored. It's a fun little idea I had, and you guys seem to really take to it, which shows in your comments. Like this one from Tony Onio, who brings up how in the pilot episode, Dr. Melfi asks Tony about his blackout and why it happened.
Any thoughts at all on why you blacked out?
Now, this is obviously concerning the panic attack Tony suffers in the pilot where he falls unconscious. But it is a little creepy how almost perfectly it works as a reference to the series finale, Made in America, as if it's somehow a reference to what's in essence his final blackout, when the screen cuts to black. Then take this comment from FleaPit1814, who points out how the first song to play in the series besides the theme song is called Welcome Back by Land of the Loops, playing during the therapy scene. You can't make this stuff up. So just to lay it out, you have the last seconds of Made in America, the finale, where there's the cut to black. Then cue the start of the series past the theme song, and instead of a gradual fade in from black like some other episodes, it's an abrupt cut to reality. Tony's life loop starting here at the beginning of the worst part of his life, with the mother statue hovering over him like a sinister jab at his mom's power over him. Dr. Melfi welcomes him in, asks what's with the blackouts, and then we get Welcome Back by Land of the Loops, signifying that the loop's begun. Of course, you can argue that this is all a huge funny coincidence, which it most likely is. Also, it could be argued that Welcome Back is more in reference to Tony having panic attacks again like how he used to as a child. But it's a cool, creepy coincidence in my opinion that helps the theory out tremendously. Just the fact the song plays to the shot of Tony lying down in bed, which he also does in the penultimate episode and the finale. That's even a loop of sorts. Tony lies down in bed in the Blue Comet, the episode ends, and then he's waking up in bed the next episode. There's some other loop-like qualities people have pointed out with the last episode as well. Like Liberax Johnson 1649 here talking about how Hunter, Meadow's friend, makes an appearance in the finale. She's basically absent from a decent chunk of the show outside the first 3 seasons, suddenly making a comeback in the last episode where her life is going well. She's gotten her act together, breaking the loop-like pattern of bad decision-making she was caught up in. Heck, she's unlike everyone in the room she's in. Even Meadow, sadly enough, who becomes ensnared by the mafia life. She's set to become a lawyer representing criminals like her father. and just making excuses for them instead of ever truly escaping that darkness, which isn't what Tony wanted at all for her.
If I hadn't seen you dragged away all those times by the FBI, then I'd probably be a boring suburban doctor.
Okay, next we have something I don't even know how I missed. But like a lot of people have pointed out, the final song, Don't Stop Believing by Journey, does mention how the movie never ends. It goes on and on and on.
The movie never ends. It goes on and on and on and on.
This leads me to the Wise Guy documentary series. Something that does get talked about is the series finale, where we do have confirmation that 2001: A Space Odyssey was a big inspiration for this episode. I mean, in hindsight, the Harpo bit should have really been a giveaway.
Harpo changed his name. He's Hal now.
I mentioned this 2001 fact in my original video from an article quoting Chase, but here it is, recorded straight from the creator himself.
The astronaut begins to see himself. This simple technique, it's always mesmerized me, that. And for that episode, Tony, all the way through, everyone he goes to see, he walks into his own POV.
Essentially, we have Tony in this weird state of watching his future self at points throughout the final episode. People notice it the most at Holston's, but it does happen again and again. Just like the loop that happens with 2001's main character David seeing himself age and then die during the ending. And yeah, while the Sopranos ending is left ambiguous, if you've seen my original video, you'll know I think Tony dies. Heck, it gets pretty darn close to being confirmed in the documentary.
It made me think of time. And I guess approaching death.
Sir? I thought black was death.
I thought black meant death. So that was in my head also. Don't stop. See, now people will say, see, he admitted Tony died.
The loop-like nature of a person watching themselves age and then die is what I think the whole show is. A ghostly form of Tony watching himself make mistakes throughout the years until his death. But it's especially prevalent throughout Made in America. And beyond the visual similarities of a character seeing themselves age and ultimately die, you could argue there's something more to this as well. In 2001, the main character seemingly does die, but then ascends as the Star Child, watching over the Earth, spectating it as something more. In a similar way, perhaps Tony dies, but then goes to hell where he must watch over his life loop as a spectator of himself and others he affected. Tony's like the Star Child, but in torment, forced to see his own suffering and the suffering he caused to others forever. Also, with Tony kind of being a man-child, to be honest, the comparison works a bit better. The last note I have is Chase being a fan of the Twilight Zone, which gets referenced in the series and, funnily enough, may also help this theory a bit. In the season 6 episode Chasing It, there's a mention of the Twilight Zone episode, A Nice Place to Visit, about a criminal character, Rocky Valentine, who goes to hell. Carlo brings up the name, kind of butchering it as Eddie Valentine, but Tony doesn't recognize it or the episode. Kinda like he doesn't recognize he's in hell. Oh. The hell that's depicted in A Nice Place to Visit isn't necessarily a time loop like in American Horror Story or Preacher, but it is one where the same outcome happens every time. You always succeed, you always get what you want. In a way, it is kinda loop-like, where the same tired thing happens again and again, over and over. And in a weird way, Tony did luck out and get almost everything he wanted in the series. Like being free to panic attacks, his family not flying away but staying close. Tony got everything he wanted, but nothing he truly needed. And he's forced to see that now, forever. Also, in Made in America, there's a Twilight Zone episode called The Bard that's playing in the safe house, where the main character of the episode is saying,
Give me a chance. Give me first dibs at this television series thing or whatever it is. Let me do the pilot, please.
I almost completely missed this. The only reason I found it was I was gathering footage for this video. I did a little bit of research and I found out this is one of Chase's favorite Twilight episodes, which is most likely why it's here. but I do have to wonder if it's trying to tell us something. You can be the judge of that.
It's all a big nothing.
That about does it for the video. But before I go, there is one last thing I should address about my original theory. Was it actually an April Fool's joke, or was it supposed to be serious? It's a question I've seen people asking in the comments, and I've even had some friends ask me in person. So it's time I finally clear the air, especially because there is a pretty definitive answer here. See, the video was